are still suffering today because those people, they have interest in our resources. And that is basically the problem.
1966.
The night he was killed?
Yes.
Under the oppression of an overpowering power of an Igbo officer?
Have you answered my question?
I have not heard your question, sir.
When the Prime Minister said in Hausa, but I say it in English, which I know, Igbo, you are no longer part of Nigeria. The federal government continued immediately to treat the Igbos as non-Nigerians. Is that correct? Yes or no?
Any war, Ojukwu went to Aburi so that all of us in Nigeria, including those from the Middle Belt, from the West, everywhere can have freedom. This is something we're asking for today.
There were so many other people.
The next morning, he flew to Enugu. Do you know that?
He had told me that.
Fine. It was the plane that brought him to Enugu on the morning of the 15th that took Archbishop Macarius out of Enugu. Did he tell you that?
He might have.
He might have.
He might have.
Say it aloud. He might have.
He might have.
Thank you.
Yes, my good people, sometimes it's good to understand what really happened in the past when it comes to Nigerian projects, as everybody is feeling the heat now. Yes, so it's good sometimes let's reflect on what has happened, and it may even help us to look for solution to the present situation and what we can expect tomorrow. In the past, what brought about the Aburi Accord is the problem that was persistent in Nigeria, ethnic issues. And the whole Africans, our fellow black people that understood the situation, their own brothers, came to an agreement that Nigeria should be regionalized the way it used to be, and people should operate at their own pace while the federal system still remains. That was simply the agreement of the Aburi Accord. But because the white people, the British in particular, according to what they said, together with some few people in the country, decided to do otherwise, and probably the issue was in the oil as the black gold. That was the focus because of personal interest. That is what we are suffering up to today. Now they thwarted that regional system that naturally Nigerians have been running on their own before the white people came. We were living in peace in our own regions. They came and destroyed these things. Even when our fellow Africans have come to an agreement that you people should go back to your regions, still, because of their personal interest, because of their remote slavery, they stopped slavery, but the modern slavery is still on. Some people thought the slavery has ended. It has not ended. It is the fallout of the slavery that we are still suffering today, because those people, they have interest in our resources. And that is basically the problem. So now Ojukwu did not, according to what really transpired, is not fighting for Biafra. Ojukwu did not come out and start declaring Biafra, blah, blah, blah. No. It was the thwarting of the agreement of the Aburi that led Ojukwu to declare Biafra. Ojukwu fought for the freedom of all Nigerians. Just imagine if the northern Nigeria that are predominantly Muslims are on their own, with their own Sharia laws and everything that they want. The West, they're on their own, developing at their own pace. And the East, they're on their own, the way we used to be, developing on our own pace with the planting of oils, vegetable oil, palm oil, and the cocoa in the West, granite in the North. People were living happily. If you travel to other regions, you can stay and do your businesses and they return as usual. But these people, because of their personal interest in Nigeria, in Africa, they have established that, command and control in the Nigerian project. That's why they thwarted that Africans agreement, our fellow brothers that have agreed that we are going to run regional system. They came and destroyed this whole thing. That is what we are suffering till today. And I bet you we are just buying time. There will be a time that we must go back to the region and grow in our own pace. It will come. I know it. It is either that way or the other way. And, sometimes Nnamdi Kanu, in his own way, he's saying these things, but some people felt that he's just after Biafra, but the guy is knowledgeable enough to tell us the truth of what happened. Let's have this little clip. When we come back, we are going to have an in-depth or small cross-examination by a son Mogbo by himself, cross-examining the former chief of staff during that coup. Very interesting, section, during the Oputa panel. So, but let's watch and see what Nnamdi Kanu is talking about concerning the Ojukwu as a great man he was, when he was on this earth, and what really happened during that time. Thank you.
All Ojukwu asked for was restructuring. The same thing we are arguing for today. Ojukwu went to Aburi to argue for restructuring. Ojukwu did not go to Aburi to declare any state of Biafra. He never went to Aburi to declare any war. Ojukwu went to Aburi so that all of us in Nigeria, including those from the Middle Belt, from the West, everywhere can have freedom. The same thing we're asking for today. They twisted the narratives. They changed our history. They turned it upside down. They made us the villain. They tried to demonize our general, a man of peace, that went to Aburi in Accra to go and in Ghana to go and negotiate for peace. A peace that Britain prevailed upon go on, not to implement. But over the years, we've been taught that we are the aggressors. Such nonsense can no longer hold, it can no longer obtain, and that is why, as I said earlier, unapologetically, we are pursuing the freedom.
So, having listened to Nnamdi Kanu on that regards concerning Ojukwu's, efforts for all Nigerians that time, I came to imagine it if Ojukwu has succeeded in freeing all Nigerians and everybody goes back to his region, what Nigeria would have become by now. But anyway, like I said, let's have a look at the Oputa panel section where Anthony Mogbo San cross-examining the Major General Haruna, during that Oputa panel. But all these panels and what has happened in the past, what have they really achieved? What have they really achieved? Like I said, we are buying time. When time comes, we'll do the right thing. By then, everybody will become free in this country. It's because some few people feel that they are benefiting from the Nigerian project, and basically the British and the white people that invaded Nigeria at that time. These guys, they sat on a table like this, use knife to divide Africa. They have not left. They are still in full control of those regions till today. That is the problem. And until we begin to realize these things and change some of these names that they gave us, we will not be free. There is still modern slavery, and they are using our own brothers to achieve that. And that is the truth of the matter. So guys, let's watch this section of Oputa panel and what really transpired. Thank you.
When the Prime Minister said in Hausa, but I say it in English, which I know. Igbo, you are no longer part of Nigeria. The federal government continued immediately to treat the Igbos as non-Nigerians. Is that correct? Yes or no?
Well, you didn't tell me when he said it. You told me to read it in the book.
Does it matter?
I read it. It does matter.
He said
because
it.
You are now asking me, my Lord, when and immediately after there was a consequence. You didn't let me read when the event took place.
He said it on the 14th of January, 1966.
The night he was killed.
Yes.
Under the oppression of an overpowering power of an Igbo officer.
Have you answered my question?
I have not heard your question, sir.
After that statement made by the overpowering power of Anuforo, which is in that book,
yes,
Nigeria, which you don't represent, continued to take Igbos as not belonging to Nigeria.
No, Igbos continued to rule Nigeria.
Next question.
Ironsi took over immediately, was ruling Nigeria. Ironsi was ruling northern region immediately thereafter.
You know, did you see Ifajuna there?
Even if I saw him, I will remember.
Did you see him there?
My Lord, I did not record the faces of the guest, of the host, to whose party I went to. It was not my business. It's not in my character.
I will come to whether it is your business, but just answer these simple questions. You did not recognize Ifajuna there?
If he was there, maybe I didn't even see him. You recognize him. What for?
How many battalions did you have in the army then?
There were 5.
5. Who were the battalion commanders?
They had just been changed around.
At that night, 14th, did you see any commanders?
Ojukwu was 05th Battalion in Kano.
Yes. Ejo was in Enugu.
Ejo was not in Enugu. He was in transit to go to Enugu.
Good. Who was in Enugu?
I think Faji. My Lord, you remember this more than 30 years ago. So
you are an old man. You see, if you are a small man,
let me recall. You must give me time to recall because
we have no time to wait.
Well, then you can forget it. The documents are there to say who was where. I was not military secretary. It was not my business to post army officers. It is a matter of general knowledge as at that time. And if I don't care to remember it, then you will give me time to remember it.
Did all the command, that is, the battalion commanders, were there at that party?
They couldn't be.
They couldn't be. Did you see Ejo at that party?
Who?
Ejo.
I didn't see him.
Good. You say by that time he had not moved to Enugu?
I know he had not moved to Enugu.
How do you know?
Because he had spoken to me as the Chief of Staff Army about where he was on that night of the coup. On social occasions.
When he spoke to you was after the coup?
Long time after.
Long time after the coup. Did you know where he was on the night of the 14th?
I know he was booked in Ikoyi Hotel.
So he was in Lagos. He was in Lagos.
You did a deduction as much as mine.
How do you know he was booked? Because you checked later.
I did not have to check.
How did you know he was booked?
Hearsay.
Oh.
If you want to accept, everything here is hearsay.
Okay.
He himself told me he was booked.
He was
booked and he changed his room. And that was his alibi for not being killed on that night.
You saw him at the party, I put it to you.
You may say so. I said, I don't remember.
Good.
There were so many other people.
The next morning, he flew to Enugu. Do you know that?
He had told me that.
Fine. It was the plane that brought him to Enugu on the morning of the 15th that took Macarius out of Enugu. Did he tell you that?
He might have.
He might have.
He might have.
Say it aloud. He might have.
He might have.
Thank you. Did he tell you why he had to arrive in Enugu on the morning of the 15th?
He told me he insisted he wanted to go and see the state of his battalion.
Good. When was this posting, which he delayed until after the party of the 14th, that he will come to Enugu on the morning of the 15th to make sure that he stays with his battalion on that morning of the 15th? When was the posting?
You would know that better than I.
I know, but You had given evidence.
Not,
You know.
I did not give evidence on the posting of military
Let me
officers.
put it to you. You know about what happened on the night of the 14th.
I know.
Yes.
I came to know.
Good.
If you are talking about what happened that amounted to a coup, I came to know.
Good. Did you know there was going to be a coup?
How would I?
You had no inkling.
Not at all.